It's no secret that video game to movie adaptations have not gone so well over the years. I know that's hard to imagine with such remarkable motion pictures such as Street Fighter starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, the various attempts at Resident Evil, House of the Dead, Doom, Hitman. You get the point. While some of these movies can be enjoyed ironically, few fans of these franchises would call them good movies. However, one gold standard of video game to movie adaptations still exists, which has stood the test of time, regardless of what Rotten Tomatoes will have you believe. I'm of course talking about Mortal Kombat! Released in 1995 and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. This is a movie I revisit often for its set pieces, genuine attempts at comedy, Trevor Goddard's Kano, but mostly for nostalgia. There's just something about the opening credits that gets my blood pumping. But as I sat on the couch watching it for the 9th time this week, I pondered, how close is this to the source material? I've made it my goal in today's video to compare the Mortal Kombat movie to the first game and see how they match up. Here are a few aspects I'll be looking at: the plot, characters, settings/stages, special moves/finishers, tournament format, and the ending. Join me as I attempt to figure out how faithful MK 1995 is to the original game. We begin with the plot, and what I'll do in this regard is recite the summary of the movie and the game before comparing the two. The movie plot reads, 3 unknowing martial artists are summoned to a mysterious island to compete in a tournament whose outcome will decide the fate of the world. The video game plot reads, 7 martial artists from Earth must battle in Sorcerer Shang Tsung's super secret tournament. These are pretty basic plot outlines, which work in the movie's favor. It gives the film a solid foundation, allowing it to appeal to a hardcore and casual audience. Now, as far as how the movie plays out compared to the game, we'd have to look at it purely from a canonical perspective. The game has 7 playable characters, whereas the movie primarily focuses on the Thunder God Raiden and the Earth Realmers Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, and Johnny Cage. Kano, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero also appear in the movie, but only as antagonists. It's also worth noting that the movie adapted a plot point from the Mortal Kombat II comic book, which states that Outworld is attempting to win their 10th straight tournament, which would give them control of the realms. Like the game, MK95 makes Liu Kang the default main character. However, unlike his bio in the game, Liu Kang has an added subplot in the movie revolving around his brother Chan, who died at the hands of Shang Tsung. Although his bio mentions that he despises Shang Tsung, it doesn't mention a brother he desires to avenge.
It has begun!
I think it's important to point out that the Mortal Kombat tournament takes somewhat of a backseat due to Liu Kang's lust for revenge. Don't get me wrong, the tournament is prominently featured, but as the movie progresses, it becomes less and less clear how the format works. Getting back to the character-driven aspect of the film, Sonya is looking for revenge against Kano, Johnny Cage wants to prove his worth as a martial artist, despite this being a secret tournament that no one will hear about.
Welcome!
And Scorpion and Sub-Zero are referred to as
deadliest of enemies, but slaves under my power.
I don't want to dive too deep into the characters just yet, so to sum up the plot, I'm inclined to say that the movie and the video game are as close as humanly possible. The movie keeps the plot somewhat grounded while still being faithful to the source material, which gets a seal of approval from me. As mentioned in the plot section, the characters are all here, even the secret ones. We have the full lineup of Kano, Liu Kang, Raiden, Johnny Cage, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero. Reptile makes a surprise appearance in perhaps the most hype fight scene ever. And of course, we have the two main villains, Goro and Shang Tsung, with a small, brief cameo by Shao Kahn at the end of the movie. All characters mentioned above appear in the original game, but at some point, the film added in Kitana. This gives our hero Liu Kang a love interest and a helper in the movie, while also referencing the presence of the Emperor. The characters are fleshed out nicely with similar motivations to their game versions, but I'd like to point out that Raiden appears as a guiding presence in the movie instead of a fighter. Also, Scorpion and Sub-Zero work together under Shang Tsung despite being sworn enemies. I'm unsure how else the writers could have included the series' most iconic characters, but they both have their chance to shine with some epic death scenes. Please allow me to mention Reptile once again. He appears just after Liu Kang and Johnny Cage enter Outworld in pursuit of Shang Tsung. For those who don't know, Reptile was the first hidden character in Mortal Kombat, and it was an all-time moment when he turned into a ninja to take on Liu Kang. Fun fact, actor Robin Shou broke his ribs during the fight in a sequence left in the final film. We thank him for bringing this epic fight to the big screen. Major Jax Briggs makes a small appearance in the film, despite not debuting until Mortal Kombat II. You could see him alongside Sonya during the club sequence and just before she chases Kano onto the boat, but his name is misspelled in the credits. With the MK characters covered, we can't forget Art Lean, who died at the hands of Goro, but still won over the hearts of many. MK 1995 stayed true to the characters without cutting corners. Sure, there are some added motivations, but the team behind the film did a great job adapting this part of the game. Mortal Kombat stages are another standout feature in the games. From the pit to the Deadpool, there are many iconic places to throw down. The question is, do the set pieces in the film remain faithful to the source material? Here's a look at every stage in the original Mortal Kombat game. We have the courtyard, palace gates, Goro's lair, pit, throne room, warrior shrine, and pit bottom. Upon closer inspection, the only stages spotted in the movie are pit, pit bottom, and courtyard. However, as mentioned earlier, the film borrows elements from MK2, which explains why you can see the portal and wastelands. Overall, I'm willing to give MK 1995 a pass regarding the setting and stages. Although the set pieces do not represent the game 100%, the filmmakers clearly did their research and made an effort to include a few of the most recognizable stages and even a stage fatality. The defining qualities of these characters are their special moves and finishers. And I say finishers because there are more than just fatalities in this film, which again speaks to the appreciation of the source material. So, let's go character by character and check off a list of special moves and finishers that were adapted from the games into the film. Liu Kang gets his bicycle kick from Mortal Kombat 2 and his fireball. Sonya Blade only gets her leg grab. Johnny Cage gets his nut punch. And of course, his autograph friendship. Raiden gets absolutely nothing.
Sorry.
Scorpion gets the most special moves of any character, plus he gets his iconic lines.
Get over here! Come here!
From a move perspective, he gets his spear. He gets the toasty fatality, although that fails. And then he kind of gets a teleport. Although I have to mention that Scorpion's spear in the game is not the same as the one in the film. Sub-Zero gets his classic ice freeze and then some sort of a super ice freeze, I guess. Kano gets his classic butterfly knife attack, although he doesn't effectively use it. Shang Tsung gets his Soul Taker fatality, although there's a couple of different variations of it. Reptile gets an acid spit attack, although that did not come into play until Mortal Kombat II. Katana and Jax also get absolutely nothing. A certain level of realism is lost if these characters can perform every single move from the game, so the movie did its best. I also want to explain what constitutes a flawless victory, because that seems to be misunderstood in the movie. In the games, a flawless victory occurs when one player wins a round without sustaining any damage. Shang Tsung in the film seems to have missed that memo, as other than Sub-Zero bodying this nameless henchman,
Flawless victory.
he calls Goro's win over Art Lean a flawless victory, despite Art clearly landing a strike.
Flawless victory.
Shang is not the only offender. Liu Kang calls his defeat of the Sorcerer a flawless victory, but come on. Really?
Flawless victory. I don't think so.
Regardless, the standout moves from the roster have representation, giving another level of validity to the film overall. We touched on this earlier, but the film's tournament aspect is just a bit confusing.
Liu Kang,
You will be first.
let Mortal Kombat begin.
The first official match is Liu Kang versus a character called the Monk. He defeats him, Shang Tsung steals his soul, and he moves on. Next up is Sonya versus Kano, followed by Johnny Cage versus Scorpion. Team Earthrealm starts the tournament 3-0, but Sonya's fight against Kano ends up being her only one in the tournament. In contrast, Liu Kang fights Katana, Sub-Zero, Reptile, and finally Shang Tsung. On the Outworld side, Goro decimates many nameless fighters before doing the same to Art Lean. Rest in peace. He eventually loses to Johnny Cage, who improves to 2-0 with wins over Scorpion and Goro, but he never fights again. Liu Kang fights the most in the film and does not lose a single time. Based on the MK Wiki, Mortal Kombat is a single elimination martial arts tournament, which series co-creator John Tobias confirmed in a Twitter thread. Tobias clarified that the ladder system in the game is not a reflection of the tournament or its format. That makes Mortal Kombat as a competition open to interpretation. If we are operating based on the idea that Mortal Kombat pits realm versus realm, it's a bit easier to understand. During the film, Earthrealm is racking up wins against Outworld. However, once Goro is defeated, Shang Tsung enacts his right to challenge Sonya Blade in Final Combat, which would determine the tournament's outcome. As we know, that doesn't happen, and Liu Kang defeats Shang Tsung to win the tournament. For the longest time, I felt the film did not explain the format well enough, but I'm okay with it. Even with the inconsistencies of some fighters losing their souls and battles ending with no clear winner, I feel that the movie as a whole makes sense. These are a few questions that I believe are unanswered. What was the purpose of showing Goro defeating all of these opponents, outside of just displaying how dangerous he is? Are these warm-ups? Do they count toward his overall record? What was the point of Liu Kang fighting Katana, apart from her telling him how to beat Sub-Zero in the next fight? Was this an official tournament match? Did Shang Tsung declare it a draw? Where does Reptile fit into this equation? Would Outworld have been declared the winner if Liu Kang lost that fight? Where does Johnny Cage go during the fight? I mean, seriously, where did he go? The Mortal Kombat tournament format aspect of this film is the weakest part in my opinion, but I feel that's a product of how poorly it was explained in the game. I went into this segment somewhat pessimistic, but I'm perfectly fine with how the movie handled it. As with any great story, they all must come to an end. After defeating the Monk, Katana, kind of, Sub-Zero, and Reptile, Liu Kang throws down with Shang Tsung. He overcomes the Sorcerer and comes to terms with his brother's death, ultimately crowning him the Mortal Kombat champion after sending Shang Tsung to a spiky grave. It's a storybook ending that fits the game's canonical ending. Wait. In the ultra premium cliffhanger, Shao Kahn emerges to threaten Earth's mightiest combatants. I'm sure the follow-up could live up to this hype. Oh, wait. Never mind. This ending is great in a vacuum, ignoring what came after. Liu Kang fulfilled the game's canonical ending, and we got our bridge to the second movie. So what have we learned today? I've learned that Mortal Kombat 1995 remains the best video game movie ever. Is it a good movie? Yes. Am I biased? Absolutely. But I look at the source material and how it translated to the big screen and can't help but feel satisfied. I think the film hits all of the beats it needs to. There are faithful character portrayals, special moves, stages, and even the tournament format is handled decently. All in all, I'll say that the Mortal Kombat movie stays true to the original game with some much needed help from Mortal Kombat 2. Perhaps the best game in the series. I've always felt rather nostalgic for MK 1995, and I appreciate it more each time I watch it. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about the first Mortal Kombat film as it relates to the games. Is there anything I missed? Do you think this is a faithful adaptation? Where does MK 1995 rank in your video game movie tier list? Let me know in the comment section below, and drop a like and subscribe to my channel if you're into that sort of thing.